Okay, so today's interview is with Grandmaster K2 Dan from Denmark. He is a World Poomsae Champion, 8 times European Champion, and a globally famous Taekwondo Master, teaching seminars all across the world. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, how are you? All fine here, in spite of the situation of the COVID-19 and some others, a muted, variation of the COVID.
Okay, so I'd just like to ask you a few questions, obviously, today, and just try and have a look into your life, your Taekwondo life, and also maybe other parts of your life as well. Okay, so firstly, you started Taekwondo in Vietnam at the age of 6. What made you choose Taekwondo, and did you ever see it becoming such a big part of your life?
No, actually not, because life is changing all the time, and it developed, and you never know what happened. And what I learned about it is just follow it and make the best out of it and enjoy what is bring to you, and be prepared. Take the challenge and what it is all about. And also. I'm also very thankful and honored for you guys and you to be interesting it of how my life developed and all this, and have the possibility to tell you guys how it is, and get a little bit of flashback. And sometimes life goes so fast, and you actually don't have a back view of what happening, what have you actually, what is called, what have you actually achieved, and what have you learned from what you have done, and all this. Yeah, and get back to your question is actually, martial art in Asia, it's like for you guys here in Western country, football and handball, whatever is popular in the Western world, So martial art, it's just like a part of children activity and culture. So all kids nearly actually start practicing martial art first before they do football or anything else. In that time, as you know now, when you're traveling in Asia. Nearly every street corner there is a martial arts school.
Yeah. So I mean, so what was it that made you choose Taekwondo? If there's so many variety, what made you decide Taekwondo's for you?
When I start Taekwondo, actually there are not so many variety in Vietnam at that time. The most popular was Viet Vo Dao. Okay. It's a Vietnamese martial arts style. It's also what we call them Kwang Kido nowadays, some places. But Viet Vo Dao is actually standing for Vietnamese martial art.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like a martial art that passing on from generation to generation.
Right.
And they are quite popular in Vietnam at that time. As you see, sometime when you see a demo, people dressing in uniform of light blue color. Yeah, okay. That is Viet Vo Dao. Okay. And then karate and judo. And actually Taekwondo came to Vietnam and became popular not later than in the end of the 50s, where the Vietnam War. Okay. And with all the allies there, and including Korea, and that bring to Vietnam Taekwondo. And my father, he was a journalist and traveled quite a lot around Vietnam to cover the war and all this. So he learned, and he saw that. As you can see, there is a diploma from him from ITF from that time.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why he get they look nice, look different, because also different other than the Japanese martial art like judo and karate, where it's much more hands and that, and then the Viet Vo Dao also have a lot of kick and jumping. As you see this scissor kick with the legs when they snap the neck, for example, that is Viet Vo Dao. And so he see the small similar between the Viet Vo Dao and Japanese martial art. And this Korea is like a new fresh thing. So he took us to some training and look at it. We saw judo because there are judo club nearby, and then we just snapped with the taekwondo and say, well, this is what we want. Yeah. My brother, he was older than me. He was about 8 years old, so my father allowed him to start first. And I was too young, 6 years old, so he said, no, you have to wait a little bit. And I was very, very disappointed. So when my brother went to practice, I began to disassemble my bicycle and my father's motorcycle. To waste the time, you know, also to kind of like to demonstrate why I'm not allowed to do this.
Yeah.
1 month after, he said, okay, you go, so you don't make more trouble.
That's cool. Yeah. And did your brother continue with Taekwondo as well, or?
Oh yeah. He's now a 7th Dan Kukkiwon degree as well. And during all hours practice, we have always practiced together. We have always following each other. Even after we came to Denmark, and we have done a lot of demo together all around Europe and also in Denmark to develop Taekwondo, and also we have club together when we living here at that time.
Brilliant. That's
Yeah.
good. I never knew you had a brother.
Yeah.
That's good. So, I mean, obviously, how was it moving from Vietnam to Denmark at such a young age, and what made you make the move?
Oh yeah, it also because again, you know, everything was very unexpected. Everything happening without we actually have any plan, or without we actually have any clue what's going to happen, because during the Vietnam War and at the end of the Vietnam War in April '75, even my father was following all throughout the war and know everything about it, but he was you know, like convinced about that we will manage, even we will stay in Vietnam. Yeah, but until exactly the last day of the Vietnam War, the 31st April of 1975, when we actually saw the North Vietnamese flags and the South Vietnamese flag changing on top of the roof, he began to act. He said, okay, we have to leave. And we just and then we just flee and took the last ship out of Saigon harbor up to the Saigon River. Maybe it's luck in the unpreparing time, that because there was so many things happening in Saigon at that time, so actually nobody pay attention that we just sneaking out out of Saigon River, and luckily we get out without any, you know, resistance or anything, and we was on one of the ship that actually every other else have abandoned, because it was not what is called capable to sail. So that maybe that's why nobody will pay attention. But anyway, it was a small ship with more than 3,000 people on it. I think it's one of the famous story also of the Vietnamese, you know, refugee. It had been on many of newspaper at that time. So we managed to get out of Vietnam and got picked up by one of the merchant marine Maersk Line at that time. Also a Danish merchant marine company. And they took us to Hong Kong. And we will stay in Hong Kong for 3 months, 4 months in the refugee camp there. During we was there, we allowed to seek sponsorship in different countries. We have family in USA, family in France. My mother and my brother was at that time living in France because my mother worked for the Vietnamese embassy and she was already outstationed in Morocco in '73. So they was out. My brother the same. He was follow my mother to study abroad. So they lived there. So we seek for USA and France. And Denmark came also asking for. They want to take some immigrant from the rescue from the Danish merchant marine ship. And my father said, okay, to get a better chance to get out of the refugee camp. And he also actually know a little bit about Denmark because as journalist, he was traveling around during some of the meeting of peace, what is called a meeting between North and South Vietnam. So he learned a little bit about Denmark. So he said, okay, we are signed for Denmark as well. Yeah, and Denmark came pick us up first, one day before the USA. And that is a coincidence. That's why we came to Denmark. And we, the kids, don't know anything about Denmark, Danish language or whatsoever. So
how old were you at this point? How old were you?
I was 10 years old.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, the experience of going through the Vietnam War must have been quite horrendous for you. I know this wasn't in the questions before, but that must have changed your life so much as well.
Yeah, because when we were in Vietnam, we actually, our family is like the middle class. So we living actually quite safe and all this. I and my brother, every morning at 6 o'clock, we walk or we run to our school and practice Taekwondo till 8, and then we went to school after that every morning. And that was how it is until everything just like coming down. And as we said, we're living in a war country, but we were so protected that we have never like seen horrific happening on the street or around us. So in that way we was quite what is called safe.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you'd moved to Denmark. You continued Taekwondo there. You started competing at Kurigi, which is a sparring. Back then, the Poomsae competition weren't in existence then. So you attended your first competition in 1975 when you went to Denmark. And then the next competition was the World Championships in Chicago in 1977. So your first international. I mean, what was it like back then? I mean, it's a lot of changes in Taekwondo. So can you explain?
A lot. Because when we practiced Taekwondo in Vietnam, I and my brother, we was like one of the best kids there because all our grading, we was like jumping the grade. Yeah, we not just go from 9 to 8 and all this. We just jump from 9 to 7 and all that. Yeah, so we was actually quite good in our level, but the culture is not like you practice Taekwondo for competition, like sport and all this. But I think also because at that time when we start, there was not so many like competition or whatsoever. So when we came to Denmark and then suddenly Taekwondo competition, we have to go for competing and we go for make demo and all this. Is like, is that it's the same like because when we came to Denmark, the highest grade it was the blue or red belt.
Okay.
And my brother, we already have our first dan.
Okay.
So they was like, whoa, 2 kids, 10 and 12 years old, black belt,
Yeah.
They come here, and they saw it actually for the first time when we did our first demo in Denmark, because the government have took a few refugees from Vietnam, and it was new. So they want to know what are those Vietnamese, what they are doing, and what are the kids doing in Vietnam, So we went to the television program for kids, and some Vietnamese kid was singing and dancing, and I and my brother, we did a demo.
Yeah.
And already there in 75, we do our demo with the scissor kick to the neck and all this, and high kick and all, and then it was very big success.
Yeah.
The next day, the what it's called, the president of the Danish Taekwondo Federation, kind of a federation at that time.
Yeah.
He came to our family and asked that are we interested to come visit his club, and we did. And then from then we start to practice with them, teaching, giving class already from then, and that's how we came into the Danish Federation and do demo and competing with the Danish, and then with Belgium, with Holland, with Germany, and all this around us. And from then it was our first, sport matters in Taekwondo. And sorry. And then came the first World Championship for us, for Denmark to participate. And it was in Chicago, 77. This was a big, we go just like, whoa, when we travel to USA with all this big, tall building, and travel by ourselves, and with just, and those who participate in the Danish team as well, they was our student as well, okay. Even that we were just, 14, 16 years old.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it was crazy. And when we participate in the amphitheater in Chicago, it's a huge sports hall. We just stand and look like this, and for us it's like one of the experience in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And what was the competition like then? I mean, how different is it to now?
Oh, it's a great big difference, because at that time I don't know that you still remember the hook go with the bamboo stick inside.
Yeah,
for protection.
Yeah, I actually have one of those ones. Yeah, I do. My old instructor kept one, and it's crazy.
Those are the first one, with the bamboo stick inside, and the competition, the fights was very hard. It's about to, because at that time it's a really hard punch, hard kick. We have our national coach at that time is Master Sin Bu Yong from Germany. Okay. He came to Denmark to teach us training with us every month, okay. 1 or twice. Yeah, and he's a Mudokwan school. He said, 1 punch, 1 kick, the fight is over. That is how it is. You're not going. You don't think about points. Yeah. That is how it is. When you punch for win the fight. When you kick for win the fight, not to get the points. That is how it is. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
And as you see nowadays, yeah, it's a big change. It's about it doesn't matter how you kick, how you punch. If you make point, that is how it is counting.
Yeah, no, you're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, the athletes of today are completely different. I mean, they're any athlete will adapt to the rules. Any true champion. And I think that sometimes people think, it's easy now, you just touch, but it has its own problems as well, or difficulties as well, But I mean, certainly,
I see everything. I see there is advantages and there is a difference in everything. Yeah, and I cannot say the old school is better or the new way of the competition is better, because in the old school we can say we get a lot of injury. And also in the way the how you practice and in the fight. Let's say at that time maybe we fought 3 fights and then we are in the final. And you are in the final and it's possible for win a medal or become a world champion. But it's not possible nowadays. Nowadays you in every category you may be 60, 70 competitors. Yeah. And you might fight 6, 7 fights. And if you fight the hard way like that in the old days, we already see in the late, let's say 10 years ago, in the final, most of them is like humping into the mat. They cannot kick with this leg or the other legs or something like that. They all injured before they are in the final.
You're right. No, so it just Taekwondo. The good thing that I like about Taekwondo is that it doesn't stay still. It changes all the time.
Exactly. And that is also how we have to also to think about that development of the society, of the culture. We have to follow it. We cannot just stay back and then say we have to do it at the old day. But our culture is developing. Our society also developing. So we cannot just keep on doing what we do for 20, 30 years ago. And the way how it's fight nowadays, it's have its challenges. And what I see, because I both teaching and competing in Kyrgyz and in Poomsae in technical, I see the parallel. Because for example, the most common parallel is the leg control, the flexibility. In Kyrgyz before, it doesn't matter you are flexible or not. Before you kick to the body, you get point. You kick to the head, you get point. And then, why should I kick to the head if I can point to the body? But now it's different. If you kick to the head, you get more points. So flexibility become a factor here. And the same with the technicals. And flexibility have always been, the big part in Poomsae, in technical, because the more mobile you are with your body, the better your movement, the more swifter, the more control you have with your body in technical competition. So they follow each other. They follow, and also when we became Olympic sport, it's not so well said that we have make hard knockout and become a very hard sport. As I also see, it's have also to be good in the way that you practice sport to get a healthy life, healthy body, and not destroying it. Like for example, in the old day, you punch to the wakamari, so your hand is really like that you cannot even open your finger or whatever. But if it's look ugly and look hard and look tough like a rock, that is good. It's not the same anymore. Nowadays, you need your hands, you need your fingers to many things. But also I also not just we don't have to develop just for develop's sake. It have to have the meaning. It have to be meaningful. You have to have a purpose. And that's the same I said when we practice, when we do something, when we learn something, we have to understand what it's for. What is the purpose of this I'm learning? What is the purpose of this I'm practicing for? Or I take the challenge for, instead of just saying you have just to do it. And this is the same with the kids nowadays. In the old day, when we went to school, our teachers say do it or do that, or else you will get a whip. And then we just do it, and we don't care about what purpose it is. And the same with the Taekwondo training or sport training. At that time, you just say what your master say, do,
Yeah.
And the same. But the kids nowadays learning different. They have to pay attention to the purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And understand what they have to do. Yeah, and it's the same when they come to training. They will have the same curiosity and asking why I have to do this, why I have to learn it. And the same for the coaches. You have to explain to them when you do this, you do this. It's because
Yeah.
it gives you this possibility. It gives you you do this because of this purpose.
Yeah.
So they think more, they learn more, and they are more, participate in their practicing, in their training, instead of just accept blindly,
Yeah, and I think, along with the development, it's definitely become more scientific as well. So there is more understanding, I think, and there's more because of social media. There's definitely more examples out there for people to follow. So I think coaches are developing because they see what other countries are doing. Students are developing because they see what the potential is, So yeah, I think there is definitely more. I think definitely more buy-in from the students now. They buy into the training. They understand the benefits. So yeah.
And also just to have some comparison, like when you teaching somewhere, or when you're in the old day, when your student, if they go practice, you're not allowed to do this because you are not going to show our secrets, or you're not going to teach our secret to someone else. It's totally different nowadays. We are much more interchanges, and we exchange our experience. We showing each other, helping each other to develop, because we think more about not what you will get, but it's more about, to develop together. What can we develop? What can we reach? What limit can we get to? Instead, to keep it to be, I am the best, I know everything. Instead of that, you say, you can learn something from me, I can learn something for you. And then in this way, we can push each other much further.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel that that's a true meaning of martial arts in general, is to try and reduce your own personal ego, and to understand that it's about everyone, it's not just about you. So I think you're spot on with that. Yeah, definitely.
And that is also part of why I'm keep on going, and I'm still enjoying practicing Taekwondo. As I have started Taekwondo since I was 6-7 years old, and now it's like 50 years after. Yeah, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm still curious about how I will do this movement. How can I develop more? How can I do my Poomsae? Maybe I have done them 100,000 times already, but I'm still curious. Is it the only way you can do it, or you can do it different? Yeah. How can you enjoy it more? Yeah. How can you push it a little bit more? Or how can you do it a little bit different?
Yeah.
And it's still, like challenge me in this way. And that is how it is. It's still tricking to my curiosity, and it's still, make that I'm so much enjoying when I'm practicing, and that I think it's the main thing that I'm keep on doing it, both in practicing and competing.
Right. Yeah. That's good. So yeah, getting back to the competitions actually. The Poomsae competition started, and you held the European Championships for the title for 8 times from 1993 to 2009, and then World Champion in 2007 in Korea. What made you change to Poomsae? What was the reason for coming away from Kyorygi and deciding to go on the Poomsae side?
Yeah, changing from Kyorygi to Poomsae is only because, like in Poomsae at that time, I'm stopped competing in Poomsae in the late, in the middle of 90s. And Kyorygi, stop Kyorygi competition in the middle of beginning of the 90s. Also because of my education and my work.
Okay.
I started in the Marine school, and for doing this education, you have to travel a lot. Yeah, at that time, 6 months in a year, you are not at home, and you just started and you came back for 3-4 weeks, 1 month. You're lucky you can get up to 2 months, and then you're away again. So in the whole year, you may be at home for 1 or 2 months. So competing is in Kyrgyz is not possible anymore. And also at that time, I think there's a law that say when you are fourth dan, you're not allowed to compete in Kyrgyz anymore. Okay. Back in the 90s, yeah. And so, but at that time, I already started. Denmark already have started with the Poomsae competition back in '84. Really? 84, 85, yeah. Nationally, and then it's easier to practice Poomsae, competing in technical Poomsae when you are alone, and practicing Kyrgyz when you are alone. So that is how when I away from work, away with the study, I still can keeping on practice my Poomsae, my form and my technicals. And when I'm home, I can compete in Denmark technicals championship, because at that time they're only in Denmark. There was not kind of like open technical championship anywhere. So it's only in Denmark, until suddenly one day the president of the Danish Taekwondo Federation came and asked me, are you interested to make a national team for Poomsae? Because there is a European Championship in next month in Austria, in Virgil. At that time, I was leading a demo team in Denmark, Taekwondo demo team in Denmark for develop Taekwondo in Denmark. And in the demo team, most people are, good technical people. Okay. So it's very easy to make, and from that time, it just explode actually the technical competition, and keep on going with that. That is how transaction from Kyrgyz to Poomsae. And 94, I was invited to Israel, okay, as a instructor for one of the seminar there. And after that, the Federation of Israel asking me that I'm interested to help to build up the Israeli Federation and become national coach for Israel in Kyrgyz. I accept, and then I was a coach for Kyrgyz team for Israel from 94 till 2000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like go up. Israel haven't done any remarkable result at that time with medal anything, but after 2 years we managed to achieve European medals and a World Junior medal in Ireland. Okay. And then Olympic participation in 2000 in Athens, and then it just keep up, and they are managed very good now, the Israeli team. Yeah.
Oh, good. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so the Poomsae side of things, so that was just a natural progression in a sense because of your job. Yeah. So how was it winning, obviously, the World Championships in Korea?
Oh, the first Poomsae World Championship in Korea, it was in 2006, and like in Europe, nearly all European countries have participated in European championships in '93, yeah, to 2006. So the European country have participated and competing in Poomsae for many years already. And when we came to the World Championship in Korea, we just like this, what? You have to do like this because it was totally different, you know, with snap kick instead of with control kick, and the movement was very slow and you know, less powerful, because if we do too much power, no, it's not good because it's too much power, and all this kind of thing. And I think at that time many of the people on top level in European Poomsae competition, they lost their motivation, because they said this was not what we have done in the last, you know, 15 years, or even some 20 years, something like that. So they said, okay, we don't want to do it. But I have tried to encourage many of them to say, take it as a challenge.
Yeah,
it's different. Yeah, okay. So if different, and if you're good, you can do it. You can change easily. Yeah. It's not a big job. Yeah, it's not a big thing. If it's like this, we change. We change, but we have to try to you know, do it better. And you have to try to affect the way, because when you look 1 and 2, A and B, and compare, most people have common sense, and the common sense will, you know, say what is better, what is more realistic, what is more martial artist, yeah, and all this kind of thing. And if you give up, you just quit, you don't show what is your style, or what is this you are that you are like defend or fighting for your way of understanding, or your style. So it's actually give me more fuel to my motivation, and keep on going.
So then, obviously,
yeah,
that was
that is how it
2006.
transferred from, you know, from Kyrgyz to Poomsae, and then from Poomsae European to Poomsae World. Yeah,
and then you won.